Welcome everybody to this is the inaugural run of Tool Review Tuesday, and what better place to start with the workhorse of the shop, the 2x72 grinder. And it may look simple, but we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to review. So this is the Alex Steel 2x72, and I had to write some notes down, some specs on it. So we have a 2 horsepower motor. This is the 220 volt flavor. Draws 6 amps, so most households can run this. I did have to run a 220 outlet into my shop, but it wasn't a big deal. Simple 15 amp 220 outlet, and we got this up and rolling. Does run a VFD, a variable frequency drive, and what this allows you to do is take your power from nothing, we'll turn it on, so not moving, and you can crank it up. On this little wheel, I'm not going to take it past 30% just because it will overheat the bearings, but you're also able to take it forward, reverse, stop, start, all that good stuff. So it gives you a lot of control with this machine, whereas a machine like this, it's on or off. There is no adjusting the speed on it. So right now in its current configuration, we have the small grinding wheel attachment, or small grinding arm attachment, and this setup is the 1/2 and 1/4. So get this belt out of the way. This is two pieces. You can flip it whichever way, and these are on nice roller bearings here. This is really nice for getting in. Let me grab a blank. Really nice for getting into these areas, the finger areas on your knife. Really good at doing spine work. And if we pair this with another accessory, it does fantastic at getting stuff flat. Get that belt out of the way. Back there, we have a 5-inch contact wheel direct off the motor, so you get tons and tons of power. I have never bogged this down. This thing's amazing. You can really take some material off really quickly with this, and it just keeps on going. It doesn't even slow down. You can't even tell you're doing anything with it. So now you see it is in the horizontal position, and this is extra. It normally just comes with this base, and you would just attach this to your work surface, but with that added attachment, we are able to turn this into a horizontal grinder as well, which makes this much more versatile, as you see. So now you also have this what do they call this? The universal tool rest. And we've got the one with all the different cutouts for these attachments here. So now you can lay your work surface in here flat. You can get in there and really work those complex corners. So this is awesome in this setup. We've also got a bigger setup. This one is 1 inch and 3/4 inch, and the same thing, we can turn it in different directions to get our different angles in there. So this current setup, phenomenal the way it sits. The only downfall, I wish this was bigger. It's a little bit small, and it can get a little goofy in here when you're trying to work on something. Some smaller stuff or even bigger stuff, it's just not enough surface area there in between these. So I would like to see maybe not have so many options on one plate, maybe just 2 on one, and have this come out in different directions. I guess for what it is, it's good, but for what I do, I'd like to see it a little bit bigger. So really easy, just flips right up. You have a lock here if you so desire to lock it. I've never locked it, but that's just my preference. You got 2 tooling arm slots here. They just got quick turns here to adjust them. I don't have that one locked in for purpose here. So far I've showed you everything that's from Alex Steel. What we have on here now is a large contact wheel. Forgive me, I think it's a 12-inch contact wheel. I can't remember. It's either a 10 or a 12. This is not from Alex Steel. This is not on his website. I forget where I found it, but you can find these about anywhere. Made my own tooling arm for it. Just a piece of solid aluminum bar stock, but it locks in there just as fine. The other nice thing about this grinder versus some of the other ones that I've seen is how easy it is to change and put tension on your belt. I mean, it's on a gas strut there. It puts tension on it and it's good to go. Also, you have this adjusting knob. This does the tracking of the belt back and forth, and all that's doing is on that contact wheel in the back, raising and lowering the one edge so that you get right in the center of whatever you're using, whatever wheel. So this big contact wheel is good for doing resurfacing on blades, but if we pair it with another device, we can get really good controlled hollow grinds on our knives, and it's one of my favorite things to use here currently in the shop. So let me get it in there and we'll show you how that works. All right, we got this behemoth stacked in here. This thing is heavy, it's solid. So what you see here is this gives you a nice work surface to do controlled hollow grinds. I'm not exactly great at doing freehand hollow grinds. This allows you to get perfect crisp lines using this. So what happens is as you bring your knife blade or your blank up, just a very little bit of that wheel is sticking out there, and as you work your way up, it's creating a nice hollow grind. So really like this. It's fully adjustable, up, down, tilt front to back, and as you work you can move this as well and get really nice hollow grinds. So that's really the only purpose of this attachment. You can use it with a flat platen. I haven't had extremely good luck with it, but again, this is not from Alex Steel, these two, and now I'll get you another setup in here, and the rest of everything I show you, you can find at alexsteelcompany.com. All right, so what we have here is what they call the strap-on surface grinding attachment, and this comes in two pieces here. So we've got the main piece that's attached to the grinder, and you can run this either in the horizontal or the vertical. I find for my shop and working with it that in the horizontal works best. It just gives me more room and I can see what's going on. It does not come with this depth gauge, but the other piece that comes is this magnetic chuck platen. I forget what exactly it's called, but your work piece goes on it and it is magnetic and it attaches to it. It's very, very strong. So you want to watch out for that. Like, I hardly move it with my fingers, and this can move up and down both sides, so you can get really creative and do some precise bevels and angles on stuff. I've used this to make my brisket knife. I did that one time with it, but it attaches into this track. Let's see if I can do this one-handed without dropping this on my feet or dropping you guys. I swear it's a lot easier when you're not trying to balance it. So it attaches in here into this roller bearing system, and you can move these as your handle, and it does have a stop, so it's not going to shoot off the other end. And as this is rotating, you're able to precisely surface grind, because this is at a 90 degrees to this, or it's completely parallel to each other. Then you just adjust this and you can see how much you're taking off, flip it over, do the other side so that you get symmetrical sides and grindings. This is how you move it in and out. It's got a lot of travel, and from seeing some of the other competition or the other makers of this style equipment, I think this one is probably the most stout and sturdy out of all of them. That's just from what I see, but I haven't worked with any of the others. This is pretty cool. I've even stacked washers in here underneath to get everything pitched off to an angle so that I could do some really funky grinds with it that way too. And it does such a good job of finishing up a blade. So let's see, we've got a couple more attachment. These are just flat platens. This is an adjustable one that you can actually adjust the angle on this. So if you're wanting to put a bevel on something, that's what this is for. This is just completely flat. It's for this is the multi-surface tool rest, I believe is what they call it. We'll get that chucked up in here, and I'll show you different things that you can do with this. It's in need of getting, we actually need to take this steel platen off, tool steel platen off, put it on the surface grinder, and get some of these divots out of it, because that's gonna really affect your quality of your grinds on some things. So let's get that in there. We're almost done with this video, guys. All right, I haven't put the belt on there because there's different things that you can do with this, and depending on what rotation you have it in, affects how far out you bring this entire thing. So this whole assembly moves 360 degrees, and you can put it in any orientation for what you need. Each one of these contact wheels is a different size. So if you're trying to get into a particular radius of something, you can use these. In this configuration, let's see if we can mock this up. Won't have enough travel. I'll have to bring this out. This is a slack belt setup, so you're not going to get complete flat 90-degree grinds. Many different purposes for this, doing blade handles, stuff like that. If we turn it in this orientation, try to get that 90, take our work rest, and we can fine tune this a little bit, use this little square here, and we can get a perfect 90 and do a lot of grinding with it that way. So there's a lot of different options just with this attachment right here. And I believe this comes with the grinder. And as of today's date, or the making of this video, the grinder was listed for $18.95. And that's, I believe they have free shipping. I'm not entirely sure. Can't remember. The other thing, this is made in Australia. Alex Steel has partnered with 84 Engineering. It's an Australia company. They make some really good 2x72 grinders, and I believe they make some other sizes, but this is their version of it, the Alex Steel one, but it is still manufactured by 84 Engineering. When you get this, it's completely disassembled. All this you have to put together, but they have really great instructions on how to put it together. So that's kind of a drawback, that you have to put it together yourself, but understand it is coming from Australia, so shipping, it's going to be a little bit less for them to ship if it's all disassembled and flat. So it is what it is. You just have to spend an hour or two putting it all together. But this thing's a workhorse. I've never had any issues with it. The motor is fantastic. Again, more power than you need. 2 horsepower on this. It's scary fast how fast this belt gets going. So we'll get everything locked in here, and I'll show you just how fast this will go. We need to bring this all in a little bit so we can get some tension on the belt. Yeah, if you can't get it done with that, I don't know what you need. But this is a fantastic machine. I'm not paid to say any of this. I paid for all this stuff out of my own pocket. None of it was given to me. None of it was discounted. I don't have any partnership with Alex Steel or anybody else for this machine. So what I'm telling you is purely off of what I see and how it works, I couldn't be happier with it. I know there's a lot of other machines, some more expensive, some less expensive. You know, I think for the money, it's a great machine. I wouldn't go with anything else. I would buy another one in a heartbeat. They do have some smaller ones, so if this isn't in your budget, they do have a smaller machine. I think it's a 2x48, I think is what it is. And the real big advantage to having a 2x72 is when you're doing a lot of grinding, doing a lot of bevel work, the belt isn't going to heat up as much. You're going to retain the grit abrasive on the belt longer. There's more surface area for the grit to be on there, so they last longer too. But a drawback is these belts cost more than a 2x48. So, you know, whatever works for your shop. These are bigger than a 2x48. The 2x72 is. It takes up more space. And granted, my shop, I'm limited with space, but I felt I wanted the big one so that I could do more work for longer. Typically I have a bucket down here that catches the sparks, but for what I have, this works perfect. So, all right guys, so that finishes up this video. Next week, we are gonna go over the Baymont Metalworks disc grinder. And this is a machine I didn't know I needed until I needed it. I thought it was a luxury to have. Now I use it almost daily in my shop. So thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have any questions about this machine, if you have any comments that you'd like to leave, please feel free to leave them. And again, if you guys recommend a tool that we should review on the show here, and if I pick it that week, you get entered into a knife giveaway. And a little sneak peek of that giveaway, it's that guy right there. It's freshly oiled up. We got some big plans for that guy. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. As always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It does wonders for us. And we'll see you next Tuesday.